how you doing? Papa Joe here. I done completed this video, and with a couple comments that have been made. One of them by a guy that was on tour with me on the Ariana Grande, Derek. First off, I'd have to look up the guy's name. He made a couple comments. One of them was about the backing up, where I've told you to always be aware of what's around you, what people are doing and all that. But in that rock and roll circuit, I was telling you you don't use your mirrors, you trust that CB and the man behind you. Yeah, it's a complete opposite of what you normally do as a truck driver. That's why us motor hands have trouble with it. It is a practiced art. And you learn to have complete confidence in that man that's backing you in. Scotty, which Derek reminded me of his name. Scotty, he was damn good. And when Scotty's backing you up, or if one of his helpers, like Randy had to help a time or two, Jiggers had to help a time or two. If somebody is back there with authority that has been put in that position, not that they assumed it, then they are totally responsible. So if they back you into something, it's not on you, it's on them. So with that, it does help you a little bit with your backing. But after you've done it 2 or 3 times, it gets a lot easier. And once you know the people you're working with and they know you, then it gets to be a lot easier. The whole process that I was telling you about in the beginning, where people they gave us extra time in the beginning to get to know what we was doing, getting the load in and load out process down and all of that. Well, that was also a part of the new drivers getting used to being back in. So, it's all a learning process, and it's all just getting settled in. And by the end of the 3rd or 4th show, this stuff should come down like clockwork. And it does. Now, we did have one guy that was late. I think it was David, which was a friend of mine and Derek's. Me and David and Derek all started together, green as grass on trade shows, or on the rock and roll circuit. That's why we hit it off and buddied up together. We was the new guys, and that happens. But David was late a time or two, and Scotty chastised him and jumped his butt over to CB. You're off on your own channels, and he chastised him real good and told him, that's number 2, you late again, you're out of here. If you can't make it on time, we don't need you. Now, Scotty had a job to do. Scotty was good people, real good lead driver, good to work for, easy to work for. But he still has a job to do, and if we're not doing our job, it makes his job harder, and he gets in trouble. So, there's my phone. Hold on a minute. Alright, folks, I'm back. That was a buddy of mine from Georgia, and I've known him, 20 years or so. He loves to live a trucking life through me being out here, and it's all good. But that being said, that leads to the next little thing, which if you read comments on this, you'll see Derek had brought it up, and that was about having to deal with the other drivers and stuff. And one thing you'll learn on the now, this is where it differs between the trade shows and the rock and roll. Trade shows, they didn't care if you had your little stuff going on. It was 8 up with drama. It was just part of it. You get out there on the rock and roll circuit, they don't play the drama. They ain't got time for it. This, I know it's more that glamour of the road and the rock and roll, and you see Cheech Chong and all this stuff, and it really ain't like that. And you don't have to be best friends with people. You don't even have to be friends with them. But you have to be able to work with them. You have to be able to get along with them. You're, like Derek said in his comment, made me chuckle, some of them are natural born a-holes. Some of them aren't. We had a couple of those. And there's some that thought I was. You might think I'm pretty neat, but the next guy meet me might not think so. So their thing in there was, you ain't got to be best friends, you ain't got to hang out, but you have to be professional and you have to work together. There's the key. You got to work together. However, you have such a wide variety of people that you come across some of them that it's even challenging to work with them. There was one little set there of about 4 people, and one of them was the lead driver on other shows, and he tried to assume the position on our shows, and me and him didn't get along good at all. So me being an old military hand and working the prison system and all this stuff, I knew how to deal with it. And that was to take it out of my hands and put it into the real lead driver's hands, Scotty. So I let Scotty know, Scotty, this is what's going on with Randy. Now, do you want me to deal with it or do you want to deal with it? And he's like, Joe, you are not a problem at all. Because like I said, I had the merchandise. And I'm good at communications, whether you realize it or not. And I had it set up with my people that worked my trailer. And Scotty did not have to worry about me, and that's what he liked. He would call me on the phone or radio and, hey, Papa Joe, do you need a door? Do you need a dock? And I've already talked to my people, and if I needed a dock, I'd tell them, yeah, I need a dock, man. All right, I'll make you the last one in. That was common practice. And if not, I'd tell him, no, they got me setting up such and such. All right, cool. Well, then he'd put another truck in, leave another trailer in that dock. So, I made his job easier on him. Well, this other guy, Randy, he liked taking that authority and abusing it. I mean, he wallered in it and stuck it on his forehead and said, look at me. I ain't into all that. Scotty ain't into all that. And this guy, I've already got my deal. And Randy's biggest thing was, those trucks don't move unless we tell you to. So you're staged waiting on your call to go somewhere. Well, Scotty already knows I have my deal working with my people. So I do as I need to do. And when it's time for me to move, when my people call me, Joe, meet me over here. I'm heading over there. Randy'd be on the radio. What truck's moving? These trucks ain't supposed to move unless you have my permission, blah, 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 blah. I said, Dude, it's Papa Joe, I'm going over yonder. Well, you gotta have my permission to move that truck. I said, no, I don't. I'll turn the radio off. I didn't want to hear it. I'd do my job. And after a couple times him raising the buzz, and then he tried to literally get in my face yelling and cussing, me and David, I turned around and walked away from him. And he's like, Joe, come back here. You need to hear this. I said, no, dude. The way you're talking to me, we're going to fight. I said, where I come from, you get in a man's face yelling and cussing, that means you want to fight. No, you don't talk to me like that, so I'm leaving before you mess up and start talking to me like that. It won't happen. And I commenced walking again. He's like, no, man, I'll calm down. All right, if you want to calm down, we'll talk.
Downgrade ahead.
So, and he made a total fool out of himself on what he thought he knew, which he was wrong. And that's when I went over to Scotty and I told him, look, man, this guy, we're butting heads bad. Who is he? Who gave him any authority? Do I need to listen to him? Are you going to deal with him or do I deal with him? I am an old jarhead. I'll pick up the club. I ain't got a problem with that. And he says, no, you do your job, Joe. I ain't got no problem with you. I will deal with Randy. And he dealt with Randy. Now, if I'm lying, I guarantee you Derek's going to get on here and tell you I'm lying. But I am not the type of person to go tell lies. So just take it to the bank. That's the kind of stuff you have to deal with. And you have to be able to deal with everybody. You don't have to be their best friends. You don't have to sit down at their table to eat with them. You know, or none of this nonsense. But when it comes to working, you have to be able to work together. Some of the people that are going to be put in charge of you, they ain't got a clue what it means to be a leader. You have to learn to deal with it. Now, you have a lot of people that want to assume because I've been doing this longer than you, I know and you should listen to me. I got seniority. Seniority don't mean nothing out there. You're either a driver or you're not a driver. You're either a lead driver or you're not a lead driver. So, you know, I am not going to come out there and try to tell you what to do because you're new to it. Now, there was a couple different hands, Derek being one of them, that especially in the beginning, he would ask me stuff. And I'd tell him, you know, but I wasn't telling him what to do or how to do it or you have to do it. I was responding to his inquiries and or others, just like I do on these videos. I'm not telling you how to go trucking. I'm not telling you this is what you must do. I'm telling you how I do it. I tell you what is acceptable. I tell you what others might do. Now it's your job to sort through all of that and figure out what you are going to do. You know? Well, same thing with the rock and roll deal. You either figure out how you are going to deal with it or you leave it. You know, it's that simple. But yeah, Derek, that was a good call, buddy. I probably should have covered that. But last one it got a little bit long. Now here we are. This one's over 12 minutes. So I do have a little bit of concern with some of these getting a little bit long. And I'll do this one as a number 2 on it. And get my boy to come in and splice it in on the other one. And let it go from there. So I'll see if he will go ahead and take out the adioses off of the last one. And just tie this one in on it. But that being said, remember, God loves you. So do I. And it's not always as green on the other side as you think. Remember that video I did about peeking behind the curtain? Sometimes that peek you get is a false impression. God loves you and I do too. Y'all be safe out there. Bye. Now there's also a positive side to some of the hands. I don't want to make it all sound negative. You're going to have some of the hands that have been doing the rock and roll forever. And the majority of them's going to be kind of stand back. They're going to watch and see what kind of hand you make. They will do minimal to help you. Because they see so many people come and go. And they're going to kind of stand back and see if you're going to make the cut or not. Now once you get to know some of them will go ahead and help you out and tell you different things. What's your main thing they'll be telling you is what the next venue is like. How to get there. What to expect. Some of them are nightmares to get in and out of. Some of them not.
In 1/4 mile, slide left on I-4.
You got some of them that feel threatened. They've been doing it so long, and with the way the pay has been getting cut in there, and it has been getting cut big time, they're always afraid of you trying to get their job, so to speak. Even if you are not personally trying to get their job, then they're afraid if you're going to do it cheaper, and you don't know what they're making, and they won't tell you most time. If you'll do it cheaper, then they're afraid they're going to get cut and cheaper drivers hired. That's what we all fear out here. I mean, you know, with the experience I've got, and yet if you come out here with 2 years experience, whatever, you're going to make basically the same thing I'm making? I don't think that's right. What does my experience and my good driving record do for me? Nada. You know, well, they're on the same frame of mind. We know what we're doing. We know how to play this game. And yet this new guy is going to get the same monies that I'm getting. What's up with that? That ain't right. And then, like I said, some of them will start helping you out, and some won't. And we did have both kinds on that show. We had a couple of them on there that, I mean, they was decent to you and all that. They was not unfriendly, you know. And push come to shove, they would tell you, answer questions, but they didn't volunteer nothing. They was not overly friendly, and they didn't just come on over there. And you know, they get to be a little clannish, which you'll find out most trucking companies are like that. Your older hands that's known each other, you know, they're gonna stick together. They're not gonna be loose-lipped with you. No. Newer drivers that just hiring on, they're gonna wind up making their own little pack there, you know. So that's just how it works. How it's always been. It ain't no different in the trade show. It ain't no different in the rock and roll. Anytime you get into especially freight, especially hauling, then you're gonna have the same things. That's pretty much the gist of it. I have made this one here so the son gets to do a splice on a couple different ones here. He's gonna be bad mouthing daddy. Give him something challenging to do. But that's the short and dry of it. Hopefully I won't come up with any more I want to say, but I got proof watching that last video. And it sounded like all I was doing was talking about the bads of people, and there are goods. And you never know where you're going to make friends at. That could last for a while. I met David hauling boats. And word of mouth, my buddy Pork Chop, he got me on to doing the rock and roll. And David was doing something else, still hauling boats for somebody else, and I gave him a call, and he made phone calls, and he wound up coming to doing the rock and roll, and we still talk quite often. I don't know if you've seen the message where I told Derek, call David. Now I met Derek on the rock and roll. Now here I've been doing other stuff, he's doing other stuff, and you see we're still communicating, we're still friends. You do make some friends out here in the trucking world that can't last a while. You know, my buddy Kelly and his wife Sue that just passed. And I would like to ask y'all, if you haven't went to help out, please help him out. I know my wife's throwing some money into the kitty. There's a link on my Facebook wall for Simple Living with Papa Joe that will lead you to a site. If you can only give $5, that'd be a big help. You know, if 20 people gave $5, that's $100 towards burying his wife. You know, that's the same old story. that we hear too many times where she worked, he was disabled, he's been off for a while with disability, and she was working, she finally retired this past summer, and damned if she don't wind up dying. That just drives me crazy. But, and now he's struggling to bury his wife, and that's, so if you would go over to my Facebook wall on Simple Living with Papa Joe on Facebook, there is a donation button there, link there where you can go and donate. Please do. But you can't make friends out here that last a lifetime, and you don't have to agree on everything. Me and Derek was talking yesterday, and he got chuckling. He said we had a couple of political conversations, but they got cut off short and quick. And they did, because we had different views. And if we got different views, I know he ain't going to change my mind. And I know I ain't going to change his mind. Okay, then let's let it lay. You know, everything don't have to be around politics. So we enjoy each other's friendship without talking politics. And I figure we'll be friends for years. Yeah, so usually when you get somebody like that and you click with them like we did, you last quite a while. Now once in a while it's different. It's shit paid once in a while. I've got a few of them friends too. Still consider them friends. Well, I say that, and that's because when I lost my son and I was going through such a depression, there were so many people that did not know what to say to me, and it put them in an uncomfortable position, and our friendship has never rebounded. It didn't necessarily go away, but it ain't never rebounded. So that's part of life. These things happen. So there's your little peek into rock and roll and into the trade show, so you got an honest view of what happens. That vibration up there kills me. It's actually the headliner. Hey, y'all remember, God loves you and so do I. You enjoy your afternoon.